Welcome to ComposersCAPE, episode number 35, where I'm going to break down the top 10 things you need to be streaming that came out in the last year. Lots of surprises on this list, and I am out to make you angry, so check it out. Okay, so we've compiled this list of 10 shows that have been out in the last year that I think are great watches. And, some of these you may have been on the fence about taking a look at, and maybe some of them you're like, well, obviously. And then I've ranked them just to cause a little bit of controversy. So let's dive right in. We'll start with number 10. And I've loved every season of this one, Cobra Kai. Yeah, it's been a real revelation to bring these old characters back with the new. It can be ludicrous at sometimes, but it's self-deprecating humor and lots of action, and it's just very great, especially if you're of my age group and enjoy the Karate Kid movies. This really enhances that whole mythology while at the same time not taking itself too seriously. They bring back all these great characters from the past, the villains. Some of the villains become heroes. They've had pretty much everyone back in some capacity from the first three movies. So check that one out. Now, while I'm at it, I'll mention that not all of the things on this list obviously will be superhero related, but we got a pretty good list of things that our audience might enjoy. So moving on to number 9. I was a bit of a latecomer on this one. I think I picked it up right before season 2 dropped, and I pretty much binged the whole first season over binging for me is not watching it all in one day. You all crazy for that. But Cavill is really good in this. People were worried about this, but I think he won him over. His Geralt is pretty brutal. Yes, he spends a lot of the first season just grunting, but the more lines he gets, he really is encapsulating his character. Now, full disclosure, I have never played the games or read the books. Both are on my agenda. But this also has a very excellent cast. You pick this one up on Netflix, and give it a look, especially if you like that kind of fantasy storyline setting thing, to quote Pippin. But yeah, some good parts of this are the whole so there's the first season is set apart in all these different timelines. It can be a little hard to follow. They eased up on that in the second season. Lots of interesting characters. The Bard is actually particularly hilarious. So hopefully we'll see more of that guy. But yeah, definitely The Witcher at number 9. And at number 8, and I'm going to have to go full disclosure on this one as well. I'm only 3 episodes into this one. But so far, it's pretty brilliant. The visuals are excellent. The cast is great. I've been particularly impressed with the little bits of Johanna Constantine we've gotten, where they kind of gender swapped John Constantine. She's been really good. Always enjoyed her in Doctor Who and the Queen Victoria series. So not sure I've seen the lead guy in anything, but he's just the right amount of creepy and not. So it's actually really good. Very strange story. There's another one where I really need to pick up that source material, but only 3 episodes in. I would not be surprised if this one moves up the list based on how it's gone so far. And I would imagine a lot of my viewers have already been picking up this one just based on what I've noticed on the social medias. All right, so let's move right along. And at numbers, Number 7 is where I'm going to put the most recent season of Stranger Things. One thing I found particularly engrossing for me is all the Dungeons and Dragons connections. All the villains are named after Dungeons and Dragons monsters. Like Vecna is this one-eyed sorcerer, evil sorcerer, and there are 2 particular magic items you can get of great power in Dungeons and Dragons called the Eye and Hand of Vecna. But this season had a lot of neat little call-outs. Robert Englund showing up and playing the old... in essence, I think it was... Well, I don't want to give any spoilers, because here's the thing. If y'all have been on the fence about Stranger Things, and I've actually met several people who have not watched any of these, yeah... Just because it's hyped and famous, don't set it aside. It's got some good moments. I would if you've never watched Stranger Things, pick that up in season 1 and watch the whole thing. There's some weaker moments in some of the middle seasons, but season 4 is pushing everything to a climax, and there's no worry of this getting canceled before the story's done, because they had the story planned out for the 5th season and the final season. So they're going to get a proper ending to the story, and so far the Duffer Brothers have done a great job. This is also on Netflix. And actually Netflix and HBO Max tend to dominate this list. That being said, coming in at number 6 is actually on Prime Video. And this this show and the comic it's based on is brutal deconstruction of the superhero genre, and it's an absolute treat to watch. The Boys, you've got to watch this thing. I mean, if anything, if you haven't gotten into this, and I would be really shocked if our followers have not, but watch that first 10 minutes of the first episode, and that's pretty much everything you need to know, and it'll get you going. It never ceases to have surprises. It does everything, including in the most recent last 2 seasons, a nod to stuff like Batman v Superman and the Snyder Cut, and released the Snyder Cut. They had their own in-universe version of that, which was absolutely hilarious. I'm pretty sure Zach got a kick out of it. He actually tweeted a thing about it. But yeah. Carl Urban is fantastic. Anthony Starr, the whole cast is such interesting characters. You never know really who's gonna break bad and vice versa. But yeah, Homelander, what a demented villain, one of the greats already. And yeah, it's it's when I say no holds barred, I want to emphasize there was an episode literally called Herogasm. It was an actual thing. There was an octopus involved. So yeah, I don't know if that last part's a good advertisement, but it's just, if you want something that they will push the envelope and keep doing it till they finally go too far, I'm sure. It will literally make your head explode. Those that have seen it will get that joke. Anyway, so this one I put higher on the list because I think a lot of people have listened to the negative talk, and as such not checked it out. This one's on Disney Plus. Obviously, this is Moonlight, and apparently some die-hard comic book fans, and I've never understood this, just didn't get into it. Or they actually actively hated on it because it wasn't exactly like a version of the comics they know. And that's always annoyed me, because if you read an entire series of comics about a character that's been around for a while, they're going to be different. I mean, even Batman is sometimes completely represented differently in the comics from one writer to the next. That being said, this interpretation I actually really enjoyed. I thought the changes worked. The MCU has enough billionaires. Comics have enough billionaires. Every character doesn't have to be a billionaire. We got to see 2 of his 3 personalities. Actually, we get to see all of them at some point, but I don't want to do too many spoilers. F. Murray Abraham. Now, those who know me know that I am a giant Amadeus fan, and he played Salieri in that movie and in the play, I believe, to great effect. Fantastic actor, and he voices Khonshu, and is really great. Ethan Hawke is just dark. It's so good. He's fantastic. But, and all the cast is great. The action is pretty good. It really takes a moment for the action to get going, but once it does, it's really great. His costumes are awesome. I love his look. The look of the show is great. It's kind of sets aside from the MCU. They've really been doing this a lot. They film Egypt, Cairo differently. The director is actually an Egyptian, I believe, and he wanted to convey that Cairo isn't just this like dusty little, it's an actual full-fledged city, right? So that's a lot of that shown. But the thing that really gets me is Oscar Isaac's performance, often with himself. It's just some of the best moments of the show are him doing these multiple personalities and having conversations with himself and arguments and every other thing. It's really, really good. Lots of great Egyptian mythology. They've pretty much introduced a whole new pantheon into their shared universe. Now, and I'm going to say, in moving forward, that the next four are probably wholly exchangeable, in my opinion, with what spot they're in. They could almost say these rankings, these are all tied for one. But let's move on. God, had to set 4, and I put Barry there. And I was also a late comer to this. It's on HBO Max. I knew the actor from obviously from Saturday Night Live and stuff like that, but when he pulled off Barry, I decided I'll give this first season a try, because it already had 2 seasons and everyone was raving about it. And oh my goodness, him and Henry Winkler and the whole cast, and this story that they weave is just absolute brilliance. Every season is riveting. The action's actually ludicrous. It's great, but it's just this dark, comedic, dramatic action. Sometimes it's sad, and it's just watch this guy absolutely implode. Yeah, so if you've been on the fence about this one, maybe these are some of my people that are, pretty hardcore into like superhero and anime stuff. This is make me out of your wheelhouse, but give it a try if you just want to see some great performances and great storytelling. Barry. So the next one, number 3 on the list. I have been shouting from the rooftops on Doom Patrol since day one. It's now on HBO Max. It started on that DC Universe channel that I'm pretty certain doesn't exist anymore. This show is possibly the most imaginative, this is the most imaginative superhero show I've ever seen produced ever. It's absolute insanity, from a donkey farting a universe to, oh my goodness, to Cliff being shrunk and getting in a fight with a mouse that was gigantic. It's just impossible to describe how gloriously oddball it is, based on equally oddball comics, but yeah, the whole cast, everyone's acting like Brendan Fraser is just now back because of these movies he's been in, but this role here, he just owns it. Yeah, you gotta check this one out. Doom Patrol, if you haven't. It's just, it takes everything, and it exists in this DC universe where there's somewhere out there's a Justice League and all that, but these guys they try. It's just, they're so bad at it, but it really, every season will present something completely odd. So I've been saying it, and I will continue to say it. Doom Patrol, watch it. All of it. Alright, on to my top 2, and this one will be interesting. So I'm putting Better Call Saul at number 2. I have my reasons. This show, it's on AMC. I usually just buy the seasons, but we watched this from the very beginning religiously in this house. And the final season just finished, and it does not disappoint. Bob Odenkirk is brilliant. Everyone, Giancarlo Esposito, Jonathan Banks, and damn if I can't remember the actor that played Kim Wexler. The whole cast, this story, it's comparable, if not better, than Breaking Bad. It's just so different, and he is such a great character that, yeah. So if there's anyone out there that hasn't seen this, and that, I'm going to be shocked. Now, here's what's going to cause the controversy: is we finally have reached the number 1 on the list with, and I have my reasons for this, but here it goes. At number 1, I have thrown in Peacemaker, which is on HBO Max. Now, hear me out. I was actually on the fence about watching this. I didn't start this immediately when it came out in January. As you know, we reviewed the Suicide Squad, and it was fun. It had action. There were funny lines, lots of blood and gore, and all the other thing. And it had Starro, which it was enough to. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't like the best the DCEU had to offer. I tend to lean more towards, I don't know, obviously the Snyder plus Aquaman, the stuff more directly connected to the main characters. That being said, so I was like, but then it went viral, this opening sequence, this song and dance number, and I watched that, and I was like, okay, no, I'm gonna have to watch this show. And almost from the beginning, it deconstructed and made and added depth to this character, to John Cena's Peacemaker character. There's lots of twists. The soundtrack songs, as you would expect from James Gunn, are impeccable. They're great. Lots of like old hair band music from the 80s. And despite it being absolutely ludicrous, there's actually moments of like great psychosis with the main character and the others. There's some very good scenes. The action sequences, as usual with James Gunn, are fantastic. Good amount of gore. And if anything, this one connects the Suicide Squad cast more to the existing DCEU than the movie did. So if you have been like, I refuse to watch this, whatever, I know that there are some, I'm not going to get into them, the people that refuse to watch anything that was not directed by Zack Snyder in the DC universe. Fine, they exist, whatever, but don't let this one slip by. Give it a chance. Lots of gore, adult themes, so be ready for that. But also like lots of really like topical storylines, plus a very fun cameo towards the end. So check that out. So that is ComposersCAPE's top 10 list of things you need to be streaming right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will be back next week. Talk about a little bit what happened at the D23 Disney Expo, and maybe react to the trailer for The Mandalorian and whatnot. So anyway, like, subscribe, tell all your friends. Until next time.